And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, Monday, December 15th. You guys know we've got Monday Night Football coming up after this, but we are here to break down a 4-game slate on DraftKings. We've got 5 games overall. Little bit of news that we're still waiting on. We've already got some of it. Hi, Peyton Pritchard. I bet on you today. Glad you're around. But either way, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter, us both being him, Eric Lindquist, and me, Josh Engleman. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, just sitting around. At least the NBA has 5 games today. Last week was really torturous with like 2. I feel like we got to the end of shows and it's just like, well, that was fun. We have 10 minutes left and we're probably going to bullshit. You can only do so many nukes of the nights and things on a 2-game slate to kill time. It's nice to have like a full slate of basketball back in our lives here on a weekday.
Yeah, well, we only get 1 game tomorrow and 2 games on Wednesday, so it's back. 12 on Thursday. Don't know if you looked yet.
I did see that one. But yeah, tomorrow's a great Christmas shopping day for everybody. So take advantage of that. Like tomorrow, my wife's just like, can we run out over lunch and like just buy everything immediately? And I'm like, that's actually a really good idea. I think with one NBA game tomorrow, I think there's an opportunity to like get all of that stuff out of the way and then just buckle up because I mean, we all know Christmas. It was already the best NBA slate of the year. And now we have NFL that goes along with it too. They've been trying to siphon it off. And I don't know, there's just a lot of really good DFS slates over the next 9-10 days. But I guess not a great one on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to the NBA Cup though. Did you watch the San Antonio OKC game? That was incredible basketball.
So much fun to watch.
Wemby is a freak. I don't think people realize how insane he is. And it was fun to see him play against the best team in the world and just like impose himself as like potentially the best player in the world. Like obviously Jokic is still that, but like Wemby is disgusting.
I just want them to stay healthy so bad. I want that, and I want the NBA to change the rules at the end of games so both teams aren't trying to foul on alternating possessions for the final 90 seconds, because that was a miserable way to end a good game.
Or call the foul that was. Alex Caruso got hacked. By the way, Alex Caruso was the best player of the entire game. Like, that's the other wild part.
His biggest mistake was missing the bunny with like 2 minutes to go. It's nuts. So nuts. So much fun.
No, it was an incredible basketball game. And tomorrow should be a lot of fun too. And I mean, that's what San Antonio has the capability of being. And it's really fun to imagine scenarios where they get a piece at the deadline. I don't know what they'd have to part with. I'm sure they're not going to be ecstatic about it, but like there's a big player waiting in the wings that could join up on San Antonio if they really want to pull the trigger this year.
No doubt. They can make moves. They can make any move they want. Like, I like the idea of them going after Trey Murphy types, get a shooter there, because they don't have a ton of that right now. And like eventually Harrison Barnes is going to have to get replaced. You're going to need a defensive version of him too. But I don't know. I love where the Spurs are. Wemby's the shit. I want that. I just want to watch that dude play basketball as much as possible for the next 10 years.
Me too. And I get why they went and got Fox, but you kind of know what you're doing. You've kind of made your bed when you're going to inherit De'Aaron Fox. I think damned if they did that, damned if they didn't. But if they knew Stephon Castle and now Dylan Harper has some really, really nice facets to what he's doing. I mean, they're still a ways away, but like Stephon Castle's ready. Like this dude's really good at basketball and not a shooter.
I'm not a Castle guy.
You're not a Castle guy. I am, because he does everything. He's kind of like their poor man's Amin Thompson. Does everything other than shoot. Like absolutely everything other than shoot.
He'll be interesting. Look, the defensive talent's real. I don't know what it ends up looking like long term, but I'd rather have De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper on the floor, at least as of right now.
Yeah, me too. But again, you're probably parting and saying bye-bye to him and a pick and a number of other things to make it all work. Harrison Barnes can just as easily go wherever. So I don't know what you're shuffling around, how you move the deck chairs, but I'm really excited to find out what San Antonio does. Like, I'm very excited for your deadline show this year. Like 2 months away. Your deadline
can't
show is
wait.
going to be redonkulous this year.
Can't wait. Oh, it's my favorite thing. I thought it was going to be
I think
crazy
it's my
last year,
favorite
and it
piece of
wasn't.
content at the site. I think you're like, it's the one afternoon that I just kind of like put everything away, and I'm just kind of like put on ESPN in the corner, and I just kind of put you on, and I feel like it's probably my favorite piece of content to watch at the site. So not to
I appreciate
fillet
that.
you as we come in the room, but there you go, is what it is.
I
guess
like
I'm
it.
below you. I'm kind of at dick level.
I love all of this, every bit of this, except for the 50% ownership coming into Kyle Filipowski, 5,400 power forward, center eligible. North of that in optimal rate. No Yusuf Nurkic for today. I don't like this at all. I get why it's happening. Assuming he starts, we can feel pretty comfortable about like 29 minutes. You love the power forward eligibility. I'm going to be under the field on Kyle Filipowski. That's how we're starting. The overwhelming chalk play of the day is a guy that I will be under the field on.
I won't be right now, purely because of what that can turn into. I doubt I get to the field when it's all said and done, but there's so many things that can still break our way. First off, there's positive leverage in the boom bust with him, which is directly on your screen. If people are asking, Data Hub has the boom bust directly on the screen, something we covered a little bit over on the NFL side yesterday, walked through how the stats page works and how the Data Hub's been updated in a fantabulous way. But I look at Kyle Filipowski as an access to other pieces on the other side of this game too, where we can shuffle around whatever we need to. And so I'm letting the Sims do its thing, and it's just got me jamming Filipowski right now. And I'm okay with it purely because it gives me a lineup spot and some flexibility. We got half the slate starting right away, and then we've got the other half starting in an hour and a half. And I don't know what to make of Anthony Davis. They said he was at shoot around. I was on X looking around, just typing in Anthony Davis, doing kind of my standard, take a look around, try to get a feel of what's going on with the injury here. My guess is that he's more likely to play, like ever so slightly. Do you have any kind of a lean on his tag?
I'm assuming he plays for right now. The line when I woke up and did the strategy show was 1.5. I had it at 3. Last I saw, now it's 2.5. Makes me feel like it's starting to move to like where I was expecting it to be. So I'm leaning that he's in, but it's Anthony Davis. Like I'm not confident at all about what I say about that dude. His performance, I feel a lot better about. Whether or not he's playing, I'm just gonna say yes, but it's this dude. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I feel about it. I put him at like 60% potentially to play 65%. I think more likely, but yeah, it's Anthony Davis. He's made of glass, and obviously there's a lot of rumblings about where I just don't know what Dallas does. They've gone from being in one of the most advantageous positions, finding PJ Washington from the rafters and bringing him over and having him be an asset next to Luka, to kind of blowing up this team to some capacity, or every capacity, I guess. And now what do you do with Anthony Davis? I don't know, but I'd be inclined, if I were them, to really take it easy on his workload, even as he's starting to work back. We're not going to see 38, 40 minutes like we saw at times with the Lakers. We're just not going to see that kind of Anthony Davis usage or minutes. You've got centers behind him as well that make his fantasy outlook a lot worse. He's 9,500, which is still somewhat advantageous, but I'm with you where I think I'm going to end up a little bit lower. We were talking before the show quickly, kind of Anthony Davis, and it looks like I'm not going to play him. Well, are any of us? I don't know, but there are definitely power forwards that you can play. Klay Thompson, small forward, power forward. PJ Washington, 6,700 would be awesome. Najee Marshall now shooting guard, small forwards, a little bit different than what we've had with Najee Marshall in years past. But I do feel like this Dallas team is one that I'm all right if I can move off of some of the Utah stuff, shift it over, whether that's Ace Bailey, Kyle Filipowski, and just kind of have a lot of this game no matter what happens.
I got the Ace Bailey piece, that's for sure. I'm over the field on him right now. I mean, the first 5 guys and 7 of the first 8 are in the Jazz-Mavs game. Filipowski, Bailey, Davis, Nembhard, Brandon Williams. Then we get a lone Tobias Harris. Jesus. Then Keontae George and Larry Markkinen. This game's just loaded. Should we just talk about that game first? Like,
totally. I think it's got the
everything.
news waiting in it. The first two games, Detroit, Boston, Toronto, Miami, we're not waiting on any news. There's not going to be anything from a starting lineup perspective. I think Miami's just not going to start.
Now you're doing it. If I said this stuff, like Cade would be coming off the bench today.
I have the live before lock curse washed away from me. I am no longer not prepared for anything that could potentially happen in the NBA because we have guys leaving for babies out of the middle of nowhere yesterday. Rudy Gobert in the third quarter leaves for a personal reason. And I'm just like, oh, glad I played this slate. This was great. This is a great decision by me.
I didn't play the slate, but when I saw, for some reason, I saw that specific alert. Like I wasn't paying attention to much yesterday. And I saw that when it was like Gobert, not to return personal. And I was just like, personal?
Yeah.
Oh, that must have pissed everybody off.
I full faded Malik Monk, and then he had 4 PRA in the first half. Zach LaVine gets hurt, doesn't come back out at halftime, and Monk just nukes. I was just beside myself yesterday. I can't believe I did that to myself playing that slate, but is what it is. I look at today, and I just see this Dallas-Utah game as kind of the nuts for everything that we're doing, nuts and bolts of the entire slate. It's got news that can change what we're looking at in a very big way because you take the most fantasy relevant player, the guy who's the best player from this game, and you remove him from the equation. And it just opens up an entire team on the Dallas side. So everything that I'm getting right now from this game, I'm all right with it. And I kind of boosted most everybody on the Dallas side ever so slightly to account for the ADQ tag.
So I have like some pretty big extremes in this game right now. Filipowski, I'm light. AD, I'm very light. I don't mind that, but if he plays, I'm going to hate every bit of it because he should just carve through Utah. I'm very light on Keontae George, but I have quite a bit of both point guards from Dallas. 2xing Ryan Nembhard and Brandon Williams. They're both on each other's island. 4,500 for Nembhard, 4,200 for Williams. But we don't know if Brandon Williams is playing. And if he doesn't, S&P just brought it up now. You brought it up before we got started. We then have to have a bit of a conversation about JJ Hardy and whether or not getting to a flat min, or I don't know why did he say JJ Hardy? Jaden Hardy. I read S&P's JJ Hardy and hated myself for saying it.
JJ, who was the guy? JJ Barea used to play for Dallas. That must have been the hiccup in your brain.
Combo of two people here. I mean, Barea flat min on this 4-gamer with Nikola Jokic on this slate. He's going to look good by default.
Yeah, and he should be a guy you do absolutely everything in your power to get to as much as you humanly possibly can. And we have enough of this game as is. So I want to point out the one thing I've been thinking about as far as like boosting goes. I'm boosting Najee Marshall the most by far of anybody here in this game. First off, 7.5 rebounds plus assists. Bet that as well. Sitting at 7.5, like -128. There were a couple of other exchanges, a couple of other spots where you can kind of snag that and get an even better price. But if you take Anthony Davis off the floor, rebounds galore for everybody, looks really, really good across the board. But Najee Marshall, he's been taking on some more usage in spots without Anthony Davis on the floor as well. And the shooting guard eligibility. That's the real key to the entire thing, is that I need the shooting guard spot. And so I'm kind of going through lineups and I'm piecing together what my game plan is. And like Cooper Flagg, he's showing up a little bit for me, but I'm under the field, 7,200 for him. Probably want to get a little bit more of him as well. But like the fact that Najee Marshall can be played at shooting guard is such a big deal because look at everybody else above him. Kyle Filipowski, Ace Bailey, Anthony Davis, Ryan Nembhard, Brandon Williams. I'm not listing off a single shooting guard in any of these popular plays. And so if you're looking for one player to boost from this game, I think it's unequivocally, for me, if you're just playing standard projection, boost Najee Marshall just so you have that, so that you're waiting in the wings with a shooting guard spot with Jaden Hardy, whereas your opponents will not. And so for me, that's kind of the big thing about this game, is making sure that my lineups have that capability of getting to a 3K and not leaving however much on the table just because it's like one spot being left to fill in.
Your shooting guard du jour is Najee Marshall at 5,200. I don't have anything negative to say about Najee Marshall in this spot. Great flexibility. You get the matchup against the Jazz. I'm just using Cam Johnson as your Najee Marshall. $300 more expensive, same shooting guard exposure. He's 8% owned. I have 30 right now. I also bet him with part of my bonus bets for today. I had some thought process on it, and now that it's coming up in my DFS exposures, I'm pretty happy. Like, Houston's obviously awesome, and they're going to rebound everything. Well, I'm just, one, I hope Cam Johnson just makes everything, then those misses don't matter one bit. And two, Houston stops people from getting to the rim. They stop people from taking shots in the mid-range. They're middle of the pack in three-point attempt rate allowed. I'll take whatever I can get here. Like, Cam Johnson's a great shooter. Hasn't been shooting as much with Denver so far. I'm going to hope that that's the only stuff they're able to get for a bit. And I'm going to hope just Jokic sets him up as well. So I like your Najee Marshall shout. I raise you a Cam Johnson. Either way, we're doing the same thing. We're getting a shooting guard in one of these later games on the off chance that we have to move some stuff around if and when Brandon Williams gets ruled out. So we shall see. But I like the angle you're taking. We're doing essentially the same thing. Just a different team.
And I guess now the easy transition just to talk about this slate from again, you guys have watched enough shows. Most people watching us on a day in, day out basis are not coming in for the first time. If you are, welcome. We're happy to have you. And obviously, Stokastic.com, that's where you guys want to head. You can check out all of the lovely features that we've got rocking here for you on the screen. And I think you're going to really enjoy what you find. But most people have been here enough that, us talking through our exposures and stuff like that, it's not as interesting as potentially some of the game theory elements we can add. Let's go to the early games. Let's go to the two early games and kind of poke around what it is that we can't live without, because there's an hour and a half bridge, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time until 9 p.m. Eastern time, where there's just this dead zone. And we'll have an idea. Maybe we get the AD news before the end of the show. Very, very doubtful, though. And so what I feel like is important is going through these four games and talking about what positions we can't live without, what guys we can't leave off, because while there's more ownership, the most ownership coming from that Utah-Dallas game, we kind of covered that one. I can't tell you exactly what I'm going to end up with there, but I can tell you exactly what I'm going to end up from Detroit, Boston, and such.
Okay, let's have that conversation. Right now, we've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got like 8 guys at 20%. Tobias Harris is projected for 27 right now, but more or less, Peyton Pritchard, Brandon Ingram, Quickly, White, Asar Thompson, Neemias Queta, Scotty Barnes, Jaylen Brown, like all the normal good people for both of these teams. Well, for Boston and Toronto in this case. Mm-hmm. They're all in like the 20% owned range. You have some leans here? I'd love to hear it. I've got some leans here. I'm hoping they're the same.
I sure do too. Let's begin with the Detroit side of this.
Okay.
I think Asar Thompson is one of the better plays we've got on the slate. Small forward. I'm just a big fan of 5,100 for him. We've seen foul trouble for him. We've seen strange minutes at times where, he doesn't always have to end up closing all the time if they don't want to, but he's so good defensively. And this seems like the spot coming off of a couple of blowouts where the minutes have been down into the mid-20s, low 20s last time out against Atlanta and a complete blitzkrieg of them. I think this is a spot where you definitely want to get 30 out of him if you can against Jaylen Brown, right? Like this is just kind of square peg, square hole kind of thing where he is your featured guy to potentially have out there on him. You're not utilizing Duncan Robinson or Tobias Harris over on Jaylen Brown if you've got an Asar Thompson. And don't you want to have him out there for as many minutes as possible? That runs into stock potential. That runs into a spot for me where I know Tobias Harris is the more popular of the two, 0.85 fantasy points per minute, but we've got Asar as a better fantasy producer. We've got him a little bit under-owned, and I'm just kind of confused why. I mean, I know it's a $300 difference, but like, look at their projections. Asar Thompson is projected better by us than Tobias Harris. And I don't understand why the field wouldn't recognize the better fantasy producer and the guy who should be on the floor to cover their bases against the best player on the other side.
I completely share your Asar Thompson thoughts. He's in 60% of my stuff right now. I loved him this morning. I highlighted him in contenders. It's the price. It's the position for this slate. I love every bit of it. Everything you said, I'm with you. I'm just going to also play Tobias Harris. He's 4,800 right now. That's nuts. 27% owned. I'm doubling that at this moment. So yeah, I would just prefer to get both of those dudes instead of one or the other. I'm just taking a much bigger stand on those guys.
I'm under on Tobias Harris right now.
Okay. I get it. Look, power forward's generally pretty easy to find some other stuff for.
And kind of what we alluded to with Anthony Davis, like I have more Anthony Davis than you do right now, but also I just want to have that power forward position. Like I want to have PJ Washington waiting in the wings. I want to have some of that I'm capable of pulling the trigger on. I mean, we didn't even bring up the Daniel Gafford's also questionable. And there's a chance, especially against Utah, considering they have Kessler out for the season, there's a chance that we get Kyle Filipowski at the like they have no issue going to PJ Washington at the 5 in a starting unit. So like this is definitely a spot. Like I think it's probably the chalk to still have Powell start. If you end up getting Gafford out, if you end up getting Anthony Davis out, both were in shoot around. I don't know what to make of that situation. All I know is that we already have a ton of exposure to the game. It shouldn't be that hard to fill it in. But like one thing I don't want is Tobias Harris in an egregious amount of my lineups. And if he doesn't get to 30, you're probably fighting an uphill battle against that entire position in that game, whether it's Anthony Davis, Lauri Markkanen, PJ Washington, Kyle Filipowski himself. We have that pronounced chalk. And I'd rather just play a lot of those dudes than lock in that piece early. Small forward, I'm a little bit more capable of doing such things. And then also by playing a lot of Asar Thompson, it automatically in the Sims playing 150 lineups makes more of what I talked about with Najee Marshall. He'll fit in more at that shooting guard spot. Like it just naturally will show up more in that. And I don't have to make as many concessions or try to micromanage it here beforehand.
So that's some of the Detroit side. We're not seeing in these ownership numbers any sign of Cade Cunningham right now. Jalen Duren not on the screen. I've got a little bit of Duren, nothing crazy. He's a guy that I kind of just always have at these points, but no real stand or anything. The stand I have is Neemias Queta, so we'll get to Boston in a sec. Do you have any other thoughts for Detroit? Because I don't have anybody else that's like really popping up there for me. If I'm getting anything, it's Duren, and I think that's kind of where I draw the line.
Yeah, that's scary that we're kind of on the exact same page with that one. Duren's kind of the main guy that I really want to get to. We haven't seen the minutes get extended in like a big way, but part of it is the blowouts. Part of it is the ability for them to go to Isaiah Stewart and not really feel like, it's the end of the world there, trying to keep his minutes somewhat in check. But it was a lot of fun when Duren was playing 36, 38 minutes with guys out and people dinged up all the time. It's not as fun right now, but he's sub 8K. And Boston on the other side, Neemias Queta being back, that's very important for them because their rebounding is something we've highlighted, starred, pointed out. Shout out Jordan Walsh for being a pretty capable basketball player. He is really starting to ascend here for Boston in a way. He was a very highly touted high school player. I remember he was at one of the big academies playing in like the high school national championship. And I was like, this dude thinks he's the best player on the floor at all times. And he has a little bit of Dylan Brooks to him where he will just he will get after you defensively in a certain way that makes you uncomfortable. Doesn't talk as much shit, but he definitely feels as though he is that dude. And so like Jordan Walsh out on the floor there too has kind of helped out a little bit with some of the issues, but the fact remains, I think you're going to see some massive rebound numbers from some centers at times. And well, Duren's probably up near the top of guys who could do that to a Boston.
Let's get to Boston. Peyton Pritchard's here in the 20s in ownership. Derek White's in the 20s in ownership. Kate is in the 20s or around 20 in ownership. Jaylen Brown's around 20. All four of those guys are around 20% owned. Where do you want to go for these Boston pieces? Because they're pretty interchangeable for today, depending on what salary tier you want to be in.
Well, I like the point guard Peyton Pritchard. I know you had brought him up before the show chatting as well.
Well, I'm pretty sure Eric just closed out his tab. I hope that that's what it was. Otherwise, he's going to be a bit. But I'll just go with what he was going to say. Josh, that's a great point that you made earlier about Peyton Pritchard. He's awesome. You're awesome. Everyone should play Peyton Pritchard if you like Peyton Pritchard. That's basically what he was going to say. But right now, I am 2xing Peyton Pritchard. There he is. There's Mr. I closed my tab.
Yeah, I might have clicked something wrong there. My dog hit me underneath the table, so I just sent him back out into the yard.
Ceiling falling in, bees. What is it this time?
It was just Duke. Typical Duke, just getting excited. I don't know what happened outside that he had to go chase or figure out, but he knocked everything
Peyton
over
Pritchard.
and I ended up hitting the tab. Peyton Pritchard, he is definitely the guy that on this team, late Q tag, or sorry, well, I guess morning Q tag, but like maybe that keeps things somewhat in check. 6,500, Detroit on the other side, Cade Cunningham, primary spot there. It feels as though for him at 6,500, he's just more palatable than a 7,500 Derek White for me. He's a little bit more palatable than, obviously getting way up to Jaylen Brown, I think in a pretty difficult spot today. I've been more on the Jaylen Brown side of things than not at low ownership on a couple of these slates. We have positive leverage coming in on him, but I'm not finding it today. I just think there's too much later on. And, there's obviously Anthony Davis, who's still showing up in my lineups and I'm still clicking on and prioritizing as a spend up if he ends up playing in that game. So for me, it's just really hard to get to anything else on the Boston side of things, but I can't live without Payton Pritchard. 6,500, good fantasy producer. I think this is a spot the minutes are still pretty darn secure. And also, what's going on with Anthony Simons? Are they just sending him to the Shadow Realm to live out the rest of his days? Because I will say this, he played 26 minutes. Was that just partially because that Milwaukee game got way out of check? And I couldn't figure out what was going on, but 16 minutes previous to it, he had really, in some of these competitive spots, had his minutes trimmed down again.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about him. He's just going to be he's just renting space right now to be some other dude by the time we get to February.
All right. Fair enough.
That's Duke's he was never sticking around, and he's definitely not sticking around now.
Okay. Well, it would be nice if he knocked down threes because that's his job. And he got better at it over the course of the last month. And that's why I was a little confused. He's nearly a 40% 3-point shooter, but just, the same things that existed in Portland exist here in Boston. You can't teach a new dog new tricks or whatever the shit the saying is. And especially if that dog can't play defense.
We hit Detroit. We hit Boston. Now we'll hit Toronto and Miami. There's less ownership in this one. Might help if I actually put that one on Miami.
This would have been so fun if Quickly was out to figure out what to do with Shed and some of these other guys. But that kind of put a damper on the slate a little bit for me, where I was looking for the Wild West because, it's less of that now.
Ingram, 20% owned. Quickly, 20% owned. Bam, 20% owned. Barnes, 20% owned. Then it trickles off from there. Norm Powell, Jakob Poeltl, Wiggins, Hero, Davion Mitchell. What the hell do we do with this game? Because I don't know which guys, they're all the same dude, just a different salary.
Yeah, I think my nuke of the night was going to be Scotty Barnes, and it's going to be somebody else now. 9K Scotty Barnes. I really find it difficult to imagine a scenario. We have negative leverage coming in on him right now. Are people really going to get to Scotty Barnes on this slate? And it's a fantastic spot. Miami is still doing the up and pace thing. They're the fastest team in basketball by 2 possessions per 48 minutes. They continue to push pace. And now you get Toronto, which, in days of yore, we had seen them play up, but that is not this year. They are being much more half-court laden, 100 possessions per 48. This is a pace-up spot for these guys, and I feel like Scotty Barnes is just underrepresented, whereas Brandon Ingram, he's at that shooting guard spot. You can only play him in 3 spots, and he's going to eat up a quarter of the field's lineups. Totally get why the Sims are not getting me there, and I think if Payton Pritchard didn't exist, I'd have more Emmanuel Quickly ownership, but I just don't. It's basically Scotty Barnes, Bam Adebayo, and nothing else from this game in a noticeable way.
Sort of. I would change my statement to it's basically Brandon Ingram and Bam Adebayo and nothing else, but it's the same thing. It's the same principle.
Yeah.
It was going to be one of those 3 dudes, whether it was Ingram, Quickly, or Barnes. I wasn't particularly sure which one it was going to be. It ended up being Ingram. I've got a bit of Bam. 7,900 just feels like a appealing price tag for him on a 4-gamer. I barely have anything else here. Just scattered, a random Tyler Hero lineup. I don't imagine that will stick around. A random Barnes lineup. 3 shares of Jakob Poeltl, so right with the field. It's just a really tough game to pin down. There's Celtics lineup will be Pritchard, White, Brown, Walsh, Cada. So far, so good.
Yeah, see, I told you. No, nothing to fear here, Josh. Nothing bad will happen at any point in time on Live Before Lock with us. I did want to point out one thing with Bam Adebayo. The reason he's so appealing right now, whereas he hasn't been on a lot of other slates, they're just not having him and Khalil Ware share the floor as much. It's pretty obvious. Yeah. I don't think it's as obvious if you're not paying attention to the data for it, though. 14.4% total rebound rate for Bam Adebayo with no Khalil Ware on the floor this season. It's pretty noticeable. That's a nice situation to be walking into for Bam Adebayo here, considering the pace this team's playing with. He's only at 14.1% total over everything, but yeah, Khalil Ware is a rebound hog, and it's nice to get that floor elevated for him a little bit. His ceiling was always accessible, whether it was clear Ware or not, but getting that double-double bonus can be a valuable thing there at center. And you're looking at a couple of other things like on this slate later on. You can play Kyle Filipowski in center. You can play a lot of other centers, like center outside of your boy Şengün, but now he has power forward eligibility. And Jokic, it's like Bam Adebayo for me. So he's the thing I can't really live without from this game.
We haven't touched on payups yet. We should probably start there with $12,700 Nikola Jokic. He's $2,000 more expensive than anybody else on this slate. What do you want to do with him at 15% owned?
I don't know. If you have Jaden Hardy unlocked, I will have as much Nikola Jokic as the world will allow me. It's why I'm comfortable having the Anthony Davis show up. That is a lot of it that I can maneuver around and make it accessible to Nikola Jokic, but he will be very directly proportional to Jaden Hardy for me. Like if Jaden Hardy is not a thing on this slate, it becomes difficult to get to over the field the way I would want to on Nikola Jokic. Because like every time he's under-owned, Josh, like it just kind of sets off alarm bells where it's like, well, shit, the best raw fantasy guy, and there's an hour and a half gap here in the slate, and people will not be adjusting their lineups and watching football, Josh's least favorite sport on the planet. Like this just makes
there's football today.
That's what I'm saying. Do you know who plays?
Of course I know who plays. I made content for football today.
Oh, my silliness. You should make a single game parlay.
It's the Lions and the Bears. Rawr.
Okay. Oh, my gosh. That was very flamboyant of you. Nikola Jokic, I feel very confident that if I have Jaden Hardy in my lineups, I will have a lot of him. As it stands right now, I'm at 20%, and it's just hard to get to more.
I have 15, I have 25, which I'm stoked about. I like to be a little bit over the field there. I'll add on to this that my second favorite payup is, as you mentioned before, my boy Alperen Şengün. So I have a ton of Şengün. I'm over on Jokic right now. However this breaks, I should be able to move things around pretty well, given my amount of Dallas and Utah. So I'm feeling pretty good there. But yes, well, I'll just get to it now. 9,300 power forward center eligible Alperen Şengün, 15% owned. Like when you're going to get these what should be competitive games like we have here for Houston and Denver, I think Şengün is live for 34, 35, 36 minutes. We'll see if they play double bigs today. I would not be surprised to see more of Steven Adams. Yep. I bet some of his alt props over today. Ooh. So I'd like to see that. But I have 60% of Alperen Şengün right now, and I had to make it stop being that. I just want to have a ton. Look, it's not like I'm worried about Jokic as a defensive stopper. It's not like Aaron Gordon's out there to cause more problems. I think this is a great Şengün spot, and I don't have to worry about fitting him into just center. He fits perfectly into power forward or utility, considering this game is at 9:30. He's probably never going to be in the center spot in my lineups. And if he is, great. That makes it easier to swap. But like, I assume he's going to be in forward and utility a lot, and that's helpful for me.
No love for your boy Nembhard. I think he's my highest owned player right now. So I definitely have love for Ryan Nembhard today. I have love for him in the betting streets, but wanted to give it a shout out.
He's my highest owned guy. Yeah. So I have some love.
I think he's my second highest behind Filipowski. And I know you said you were a little bit lower on him, but Yeah, just playing a lot of that game in general. There's no question about it. But yeah, Alperen Sengun's interesting. You brought up the double bigs thing, and so I'll bring it up too. This has been a weird NBA schedule for everybody the last week and a half, but it has been probably a really good NBA schedule for Steven Adams and Kevin Love, who are not young and have a lot of mileage. And
Steven Adams is young, man.
Oh,
he's so much younger than you think he is.
Really? Well, Kevin Love is old. Yeah. I know Kevin Love's older.
Steven Adams is 32.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry, I had to stop you because I knew you were thinking that Steven Adams was like 39 years old.
Holy shit. How?
Yeah, it feels like he's been around forever. Like his Oklahoma City run.
Teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
Durant and Harden. Like that was forever ago.
Yeah. Yeah. He is.
Wow.
He's not aging in human years. That's for sure.
Wowzer.
That
is
oddly not old.
Okay. That's wild that he's only 32.
Yeah. And he'll be 32 the entire season. It's not like he turns 33 anytime soon. It's July.
I don't know why the last couple of years I'm just like, yeah, Steven Adams. He's 100 years old. They don't care. But very much a winning basketball player in a lot of ways. If anything else, he will pick you up and walk you away from any kind of altercation. He has done that on multiple occasions to multiple pieces of the opposition. And I always laugh because I'm just like, nobody is starting shit with Steven Adams. Dude would commit a crime and kill you. So yeah, it's really fun to watch Steven Adams just exist more so than like play basketball. Like the fact that he exists is just enjoyable. But anyway, him and Kevin Love, I just wanted to point out because they're at the center position. They've both been in the NBA a long time. Kevin Love longer. That's what we just learned too, or I just learned. So yeah, that's got to be a good break for them. Pretty clean 18 minutes. I think you can kind of put for Steven Adams, no matter what. Kevin Love, I think it is somewhat dependent upon how he's playing. And that's where I have a tough time pinpointing what I want to do with him because he's actually pulling some ownership as a cheapy center on this slate specifically. And it's just not a comfortable thing, but he's 3,900. And we saw what the ceiling is against Memphis last time out. It feels like years ago, but it was like, I guess Friday they played. That's the only game that they've had since last Sunday. So what the hell?
We got a projections update 3 minutes ago. We got an ownership update 2 minutes ago. Not that there were a ton of changes. Nothing's really been happening. The lineups that we got in were exactly what we were expecting. So it is mostly status quo, but everything right now on the site is updated for the 7 o'clock games, which leads us into the time to hit this super chat. My two faves. Let's get it, gentlemen.
You set that up for the Nuke so hard and you undersold it. My two faves, my guy, DJ Maya. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Always good to see you.
At first, when I read that, I thought he was looking for our two favorite plays, but we are the two faves, I believe, in that one. So that's helpful. Oh. I like that. Eric thought I was setting him up for Nuke of the Night. Is that what's happening now? Nope. It's Tails. Guys, download the Tails app. Link in the description of this video. We are posting so much content to Tails right now, both internally with everybody you know, Greg, Eric, myself, Laffy, Ben, guys like DK, who you guys see on the Deeper Dive with me a couple times a week, and like 200 plus more people that are also there. You can get whatever you're looking for. Sports bets, pick'em cards, DFS coverage. You're going to get a little bit of everything. It's just a curated place to find all that kind of stuff. It's totally free. This costs you nothing. You download the app from the link in the description and follow along. You can follow all the people that I just mentioned and then some. Anything they post that's on their free feed, you'll be able to see it. Maybe you find that at some point in time, you want to subscribe to one of those people because they've been making you money. You can do that as well, but it's not required. The only thing that we're going to mildly require is that we would love for you guys to leave a rating and a review. We're trying to run that rating number up as high as we can. If we get to 1,000 by Christmas, we've got 10 days. That will make us very happy. That is how you guys can help us out. Link in the description. Download Tails and come see us. I'm posting tons of stuff. Eric's posting tons of stuff. You don't want to miss it.
Not only that, but like profitable stuff. You had a 6-pick or a
Yeah.
6-leg prize picks card that I tailed on Saturday, it would have been, I believe.
Correct.
Overall,
Correct.
just good stuff overall. And then there was also the touchdown that you hit for all the free, the bonus bets. You've been on a roll here relative to me, who over the weekend couldn't even stay upright. I was so sick, and then decided to,
Oof.
well, just continue to just suck. So that was on fun. But
Pause.
hey, I've been securing CLV. That's been nice. Over a 15% clip of CLV. I'm gonna go spend that on Christmas gifts tomorrow. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, ask the bank for a loan based on that CLV, man.
Ask a bank for a loan when you're a DFS player. Trust me, know from experience. Try to buy a house with that. Really, really fun experience. That's what I learned.
Mitch Williams with the super chat. He says, my guy, Josh, all love. Nice. Thanks for that super chat, Mitch. Appreciate that.
Is that what it said? You said it like that was not what it said.
I ain't read so good.
It's Nuke time. Just hit the button.
Kaboom, ladies and gentlemen. Kaboom. Let's nuke it out. Here we go. Nuke of the night. Every time we do this, I feel like you are all over it. So the floor is yours, sir. Who's it going to be for today?
I love a Q tag nuke. I love it so much because it takes the onus of like having to pick the fill-in guy correctly. And so we're going to the Mavericks. This is the team that I'm the most interested in on the slate. Right now, I have the most Utah, obviously because of Kyle Filipowski's existence. Actually, no, that's not true. I just looked up my total cumulative ownership. I have the most of the Dallas Mavericks. Part of that is because Brandon Williams plays for the Dallas Mavericks as well as Ryan Nembhard. I love the idea of jamming Brandon Williams today. Right now, we have him in for 19 minutes, but there's a couple of things that can go his direction. You have Anthony Davis sitting there. You have Daniel Gafford sitting there. Different position, but doesn't really matter when you have D'Angelo Russell already out. And Brandon Williams has shot the ball so bad, Josh. It's been a terrible year for him shooting. 579 minutes, 42.7% effective field goal percentage. And yet, Jason Kidd rolled him out, and I bet his over 9.5 points. And I got, just less usage than I ever could have imagined in that spot against Brooklyn. But I got 26 minutes, 24, 23, 26 minutes for him here. There is massive upside on what we've got projected for his minutes. There is a chance that we get a lot coming his direction there. I know there's negative leverage right now, but if you get Anthony Davis off the floor, everybody's going to get boosted up. And I do think Ryan Nembhard, if you don't have him knocking down shots necessarily, like there's no reason that they can't close or go to Brandon Williams at any point, and he will get you buckets north of a 22% usage, third highest usage, more usage than like Cooper Flagg and Najee Marshall and all these other guys that I've already brought up on this. I know PJ Washington, got back into the mix here. It won't look as spiffy here, but he's still getting run, even though he shot the ball horrendous. Give me positive regression on the shooting for one Brandon Williams nuke of the night.
I have no disagreements. At this moment, he is my most exposed play of the day. So I agree. Nuke of the night. It would have been mine if it wasn't yours. And he makes for a very interesting transition if he doesn't play. Not going to have any trouble being able to fill that out. Well, I guess
Jaden Hardy nuke of the night. How about that? Jaden Hardy.
That's how you hit Isaiah Stewart, was it? Who did you hit that was just like wasn't even playing?
Isaiah Stewart, and then he just completely set the world on fire. 55. The other one, Craig Porter Jr. That's got to be the best one I had, period.
Yeah, that was the one.
Fantasy points at 3,600 or something at half of my lineups. Wish I had played more than the $4 and $1, Josh. That would have been good, but here we are.
So Brandon Williams is the guy that I am most over the field on. I guess I got to go to my second guy. I feel like I take this dude all the time in situations like this, but it's happening. He's my second most exposed player, my second most over the field. Alperen Şengün, come on down. Nuke of the night. I love every bit of what we've got going on for that matchup today. So, yeah, I've got 60% of them right now. People
Aaron
on
Gordon's not here
his
to save
corner,
you.
Peyton Pritchard, Asar Thompson, those are comparable options to me right now, but I'm going Şengün.
Okay.
Have to.
I agree on the other guys that you said. So there's that. Right now, my 5% Alperen Şengün is not necessarily on board, but I need to probably make way. He was my big year-long stan. I'm in a couple of year-long leagues, a couple of buddies. I've been in a father-son year-long fantasy basketball league for 24 years. We've been doing this thing forever. Since I was a freshman in high school, we've had a fantasy father-son league in South Dakota with my dad and I, and it is awesome. It's the thing we probably talked the most shit about over Christmas. So I'm looking forward to that. But Alperen Şengün has been our all-star, no question about it, because you get a point decrease for Jokic, who's, obviously our best fantasy producer, but Şengün was a steal.
Speaking of Nikola Jokic, where did you end up?
I ended up kind of all over Anthony Davis. Like, again, I have more of Anthony Davis than I can humanly possibly do. Can we also have a Cade Cunningham conversation?
I don't have him, that's for sure.
Nobody does. That's the fun part, right? Like, if you knew Jaden Harvey was available, wouldn't we all just get a little bit more Cade Cunningham than 4%?
No, I don't think so.
He's the second highest fantasy, he's the second highest raw fantasy point guy on the entire slate.
I didn't realize that Jaden Hardy also had shooting guard eligibility. Yeah. So yes, we would get to a bit more Cade. In my mind, he was just point guard, and I was like, it's really gonna it's a tough squeeze then with Cade there. But I mean, I just don't know how you do it. Like, he looks worse than every other one of the Payup options.
No question, but he's also the only one at point guard.
True.
That's the fun part. And
I don't have any of those Payup point guards. I don't have Jamal Murray. I don't have Amin Thompson. I don't have Keontae George. I don't have Derek White. I don't have Tyler Hero.
Well, we can play 3. We can play, Ryan Nembhard. We can play Brandon Williams. We can play X. And for me, trying to figure out in the last, 12 minutes we've got here, it's simply Scotty Barnes and Anthony Davis. Like, the power forward spot right now is just getting eaten up by guys I'm spending up for. Jokic, I'm at 20. I would want to have infinity Jokic if I knew Jaden Hardy was the guy and we didn't have Brandon Williams. But as it stands right now, you can't reverse engineer your lineups after the fact. It's kind of the way that I think about things in the NFL, where if you have a piece of late news like yesterday, if Brian Robinson had ended up being a thing, you would have a completely different board. You would look at the post-contest sim ROI and you'd just be like, holy shit, that was the best play unequivocally of the day. I think Jaden Hardy will look like that if we don't have Brandon Williams. And then the chance to just get to Cade Cunningham first and have 10% of him, 12% of him, something like that. I think it's a really good calculated stand if you're playing 150. I'm playing 50 lineups today. I just want to get myself to double digits somehow on Cade Cunningham. They can play him in unlimited minutes. This is also a great spot. Same thing for Houston, Denver, that I didn't talk about. 2 very competitive game environments. I did bet each one of them spreads. I bet Boston against Detroit. I bet Houston against Denver. So I bet both of those last night. It just kind of looked fantastic. Dunks and threes was kind of on board with it as well. But I really like the idea of Cade Cunningham as somebody to be like 2x, 3x, 4%. It's not that hard. And positionality. You can't get to him easily after the fact.
DC hit us with a super chat. He said, any interest in Kada on DraftKings? He's my 6th most exposed player. He's in half of my lineups. I've got quite a bit of interest in Neemias Queta today.
What?
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about him in the Boston section. Where did that come from?
I did.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I would have said something. 50% Neemias Queta?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fuck right off, everybody. Great. That's a lot of Neemias Queta. That's more Neemias Queta than Neemias Queta would play for Neemias Queta.
It's a lot for sure. We don't have a lot out there today, you know? It's a pretty gross center slate.
I said it's probably the most disturbing one we've had in a long time. I just want Bam Adebayo. And then, yeah, I guess Alperen Sengun, Kyle Filipowski, you can play at center. So kind of.
So I'm fading Filipowski too. So that's part of my thing. Like, here's my center exposure for real. Sengun's in most of my stuff. I assume he's in forward spots. Kata, Bam, Jokic, Jalen Duren, a little bit of Kyle Filipowski, random share like Jakob Poeltl, but it's all the good dudes at least.
Is there a Musa Cisse world for this slate too? I've been thinking about him for way too long today. I kind of didn't even want to bring him up. Don't they start him over Dwight Powell if you end up getting Gafford and Anthony Davis both out?
No, I assume the last time they had this situation, don't get me, like, PJ Washington was also out, but they went to Powell. They're just always going to Powell in those scenarios.
Okay. And I mean, there's also the world where they just do this small ball 5 thing I talked about already, but I don't love that for them in general, but we'll see. I'm probably going to I'm going to have all the lineup flexibility and all the land. That's the fun part about backloading your lineups in general, is like, oh, this guy's starting where we didn't expect that because Jason Kidd's a psychopath. Awesome. I'll do that.
I assume Cisse's free, so like if that happens, it should be pretty easy to move around for, right?
Correct. Yeah, 3K.
Okay. We've got 7 minutes to go. We've got one more question or super chat here from Sam Van Dam. He said, I'm not the brightest, but wouldn't Cooper benefit the most with Brandon out? Is Hardy auto viable if Brandon out? Maximum Christie. So when we talk about people benefiting in these situations, like, yes, Cooper Flag is going to have the ball in his hands more and get more touches. His playing time is not going to go anywhere. The biggest benefits are the fact that you can gain playing time. Nothing could really happen to Cooper Flag's rates realistically to like make him play the same amount of minutes and go from fine to like the most interesting guy. So yeah, he gets a bump for, more expected assists, likely probably a usage bump. Not going to be the same as the guys that get giant minutes bumps. Is Hardy auto viable if Brandon is out? Auto viable? Yes. He's not going to be like auto awesome. Like they have options. He could play 12 minutes and that's like a very reasonable scenario. It just opens up a guard spot, especially with no Russell right now. Gives them an opportunity for him to step into extra minutes. You'll want to have some, but it's not going to be like you have to have him. Like if Brandon Williams were out and Nembhard were out, then Hardy would just be insane. But like in this case, it doesn't have to be nuts. He's just interesting then.
Perfect way of describing it. I'll add one thing. We do see nuclear rate changes, but it's got to be pretty prominent. I'm bringing it up purely because of what happens with the Clippers tonight. Chris Dunn goes from being a 21% assist guy to a 39% assist guy with James Harden off the floor this season. We're talking like James Harden, we know how much he passes. You look at the rate change, and yeah, that's going to change Chris Dunn, who's already playing a lot for the Clippers no matter what. But somebody like Cooper Flag, who doesn't really have the assist rate, doesn't really have the rebound rate in like a crazy type of way, they're not going to benefit in the same style as somebody who, we used to see this with Bam Adebayo. Once upon a time when he actually passed the basketball, you'd be like, oh shit, Bam Adebayo looks completely different. And now that apparently just went away with the way that they utilize him. And it's annoying, but I bring it up purely because I've been staring at Chris Dunn alts since I woke up this morning. And I'm very nervous about pulling the trigger on a ladder and then just looking like an idiot. But it very much intrigues me because Chris Dunn could end up being your major distributor there, him and Bogdanovich potentially. Like that's a real thing that could happen tonight for the Clippers.
Yeah, that could be very, very different. Like those are the situations where, you lop out a 36-minute a game, high usage ball dominant dude. That's when people's rates get completely wiped over. Brandon Williams being out is not the same sort of effect.
You're moving 20 minutes around and 20 minutes of a guy who doesn't do a lot on the floor outside of shoot a lot. And, that seems nifty, but it kind of gets spread amongst a bunch of dudes in that scenario.
Doing one last little tweak here, but nothing's like really
I just
changing.
gave Cade Cunningham one more fantasy point in this last run. That's all I did.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure that I get to like 10% in this last run, and then I'm gonna be pretty happy to let it rock. And I told everybody else already, Najee Marshall, that's the one guy that I think if you boost him, based on how much Asar Thompson I'm getting, he'll go into the shooting guard spot a lot. And it just makes my lineups look a lot better.
Josh Kirk said 4,500 left in salary. You go Nembhard or Williams. Unequivocally Nembhard.
Yep.
1,000,000% Nembhard. If you want to make that Brandon Williams later, like that can be a thing, but it's not going to help you to take Brandon Williams now and just force yourself into a situation where like you can't get to Nembhard then if you want to. If you go with Nembhard now, you can make it Brandon Williams later if you want to, or you just have Ryan Nembhard who now has the opportunity to play more minutes if Brandon Williams ends up out. Like overall, I like Brandon Williams as a play a bit more than I like Nembhard. But in this piece, like if you're going to be paying attention to your lineup, it's just easier to go Nembhard and deal with it later.
No notes.
You're saying later if they both play? Kind of depends on the rest of your lineup then.
Yep.
Like if you're a little behind, Brandon Williams realistically is slightly less owned. That becomes a way to like chase it down. If you happen to be near the top and you find out you're blocked, you could flip flop between those guys as well. That's a way down the line type of answer. But any final things you want to touch on this slate before we get out of here? We are 2 minutes away from this one ending. And don't forget, NFL Live Before Lock coming up in 15 minutes for the Steelers and the Dolphins, because I know football. I know football so well that I'm spending free money on FanDuel because I picked the first touchdown last time out. I mean, it's like I'm a savant.
Yeah, I don't know what my lineups are going to look like when it's all said and done, but I do know that I'm pretty light on these first couple of games. I'll throw this out there. There are a lot of ways that you can get different later on if news doesn't break your way by backloading. We have Jonas Valanciunas, Isaiah Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh. There's a lot of like cheapies that are sub 4K who could give you access to the Jokic and go up and get him. But like what we're really doing is we're like making some calculated stands early in the slate. Peyton Pritchard, Scotty Barnes, things that kind of make sense with the overall schematics of like, hey, this is lineup positionality. This is that. And like giving ourselves access to the best possible looking lineups, no matter what news ends up falling our way. So like, yeah, I'd probably, that's kind of the main thing that I'm doing right now. I'm just making sure I get a little bit of Cade Cunningham because everybody wants to play these point guards. I want to play these point guards, but there we go. My last run, exactly 10% Cade Cunningham. That's what I'm talking about.
Tell the people where to find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me over at Tails. You can follow me on the OddsShopper YouTube channel doing ladies, leans, likes, and locks. Only one game tomorrow, but hey, we're breaking it down. No slates off except for football this weekend. That's a completely different story. But go, I guess, nobody in these first couple outside of like a little bit of sparse, what we talked about. And then, yeah, NFL Live Before Lock. Looking forward to that as well. But we'll be back tomorrow. I think we're going to be doing a show tomorrow, aren't we not?
I mean, we're certainly doing a show. 8:30 is the game. I'm guessing me and somebody are going live at 8 would be my assumption. Cool. If it's not me and somebody, I would be plenty happy if it's you and Greg.
Not a bad deal. A little FIFA action in the afternoon.
I would imagine we're alive at 8, maybe 7:45, depending. Okay. But we'll have something for sure. Awesome. I'm speaking. Look, I'll go live one way or the other tomorrow at 8 o'clock for this show, whether or not it's on the schedule. But I'm like, it's on the schedule.
All right. Well, looking forward to it.
If since I likely will not be doing this with you unless Greg's not doing it, who wins, Spurs or Knicks?
Spurs. Let's go Spurs. I want to see Karl Anthony Towns get ejected because Wemby threw it in his face. That would make my heart very, very happy. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think the game is kind of played through what happens with Jalen Brunson, but I guess you could say that about a lot of New York Knicks games. He tends to matter.
Yeah. Tough matchup for him against Wemby. I am cheering for the Spurs because the Magic lost and that was my futures ticket. And if I'm going to be cheering for something, I'm going to cheer for the Spurs because they did what I needed them to do. They beat OKC and would have given that futures card so much more value. And the Magic just couldn't do a damn thing. Heat will start Mitchell, Hero, Powell, Wiggins, Adebayo. We will start getting out of here right now. NFL Live Before Lock coming up in 15 minutes. All the links you could want for Stochastic, OddsShopper, Tails, etc. are in the link they're in the description of this video. I hate myself for stumbling over that. I hope you guys win some money. Good luck tonight.